family. Welcome to Kingdom Huddle. On this episode, we're going to be talking about a very important topic. Besides the crisis that's going on in America and all over the world regarding coronavirus, there's a major crisis that's hitting many of our homes. And that crisis is divorce. That crisis is separation. There are more couples in crisis now than ever before. And if this is a topic that you're interested in, tune in because not only will we be talking about what's happening, but I have a special guest with me that's going to give us some strategies on how to overcome this crisis. Stay tuned. So, welcome back to Kingdom Huddle. As you all can see, I'm not sitting by myself. I have a guest with me. And this is a guest that I invited not only because I know him personally, this is my husband, by the way. We've been married for 16 years, but he's also a licensed therapist. He's been in the mental health field for many years, and he's an ordained pastor. So, this topic of couples in crisis in the household, he's very familiar with it, and I just wanted to get his input on it because that's something that he deals with on a daily basis, and it just breaks my heart to see so many households being broken up. So today our goal is to give couples strategy. That's why I brought him on here, because he will give you some strategy. But before we go into the strategy session, I just want him to take a moment to kind of introduce himself and tell us a little bit more about him.
I think you've done a good job. I'm Clay Parker. I'm married to this beautiful woman right here and the father of three wonderful boys. I'm a pastor of a great church, and I've been in the mental health field for 23 years now in different arenas and aspects of mental health field. But currently right now, I'm a co-owner of a practice in Kannapolis, North Carolina, and it's a wonderful practice, and I've been doing therapy for several years now, and I enjoy what I'm doing. I'm a licensed clinical mental health professional, and I'm an addiction specialist also.
Awesome. See, he's qualified, y'all. I'm not just bringing him because he's fine. I know he's fine, but he's qualified. But so I just want to start off by what is happening to our households. Like, what is happening? I've seen couples that's been together for years that are instantly saying, "I'm just walking away. I don't want to do this anymore." Tell me, what do you see from your practice? What's going on?
Well, one of the things that I'm noticing right now that a lot of couples who come in to see me are struggling right now because they don't know each other. COVID has brought people together, but now they're living with almost a stranger in their household, and they don't like each other. They don't know each other. They realize a lot of trauma, and honestly, to being honest with you, some of them had extra lives outside of that also. So when you bring all that together during this crisis with the struggle of COVID and other things that are going on, you have some trauma in their marriage. So we're seeing spikes in divorce, less people are getting married, and more breakups right now.
Wow. You know, that is so crazy to me. That the thing that bothers me the most, though, is I expect people who aren't kingdom citizens to do this. But the thing that's shocking to me is like, kingdom citizens, Christ followers. How is it possible that two Christ followers, people who love the Lord, how is it possible that they just can't get along? I don't get that.
Well, just because you follow Christ doesn't mean you follow his principles.
Oh.
A lot of people enjoy the marriage part and they enjoy the wedding part, but they don't understand how to stay married. So they do all that stuff like that. Now it comes time to put those principles into practice. They're ill-equipped to do so, and they don't have the tools to do so. And actually, they're bringing their baggage and trauma into the marriage, and they don't know how to fight back and deal with the stuff of the world.
That's a good thing that you just pointed out, that they don't have the tools to fight with. So one thing that I love the Lord, and I believe in Holy Spirit helping and delivering us, but I also believe in counseling. And there are things that us who have been in church all of our lives, we think that church and prayer and fasting can fix everything. Sometimes you need to go and talk to somebody else who's more equipped so that you can have the tools that you need to fight this battle. There's no shame. There's no shame in going and say, "Hey, it's me. I need some help. I'm struggling. And I realize that I can't get over this hump." So that's where a therapist or even a pastor would come in And just, you have to be able to be vulnerable enough to trust somebody else and include them into your story. So, like for the church folks, is there something different that you see with them, or people who aren't believers, believers versus unbelievers?
Well, a lot of times church people come in with a different mask because they say God will fix it, God will do this. Yes, we believe in that, but sometimes you have to put practical things into practice, allow God in.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times the church people that I deal with, most of them won't tell their full story because of shame. If I told
Mm.
someone I've been a pastor so many years, but I'm stuck in porn or I'm stuck in an extramarital affair, I won't share that. They'll just say we just not getting along. Versus sometimes people of the word just say this is what's going on. So when you come to church folk and religious folk and people like that, they have an extra layer of shame or extra layer of protection on them or mask that they wear when they come into the practice.
Oh my goodness, that is so good. That is such a good point. You brought off a very interesting topic, and that's the topic of porn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, being in church all of my life, I never heard pastors really addressing that issue. Porn, I mean, once in a while you hear about homosexuality and things like that, but it's like some of the heterosexual sins were just like never talked
Mm-hmm.
about. It was just kind of overlooked.
Mm-hmm.
So, is that really an issue
Yes, it's a
with
big issue.
with Christians?
A lot of pastors come in struggling with, a lot of ministers, a lot of first ladies come in struggling with
Oh
this
wow,
addictions. It's
women.
not just men, it's just women
Hmm.
and their children dealing with it because we have so much access to the world. So pornography is a big part of this problem. So even when in connection intimately with their spouses and stuff like that, if they're addicted to porn, that goes down. And so the other person's left struggling, one that they feel loved or their needs are being taken care of. Pornography is a big part of this. And it becomes an addiction because they're hiding it, sneaking it, doing things with it, and it transitions over into their marriage. So a lot of struggles come in because of porn. And truth be told, a lot of people that come into that don't share in their sessions with their spouse. They'll tell
They
me
don't
later on.
share that they're addicted to porn, so
No.
their spouse have no
No
idea.
idea.
Wow.
And so a lot of times, hey, I need to tell you something.
Secrets.
I'm struggling with this, but I don't want to share it with them because it'll cause more damage in the marriage. So that goes to another level of shame. But if it was some addiction like cigarettes or even drugs or alcoholism, they'll share that. But when it comes to pornography, it's like the taboo. I won't share those things.
Especially with saved people.
Saved people.
Saved
Mhm.
people. You know?
Yes.
And that's the thing about it, is just because we love Jesus doesn't mean we don't have struggles.
Mm-hmm.
We all have struggles. Just because you finally say I do doesn't mean that your life is going to be perfect.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I've noticed is that maybe men too, but a lot of ladies suffer with this fairy tale mentality of once I get married, it's all going to be good. Like, oh, I walk down that aisle, the fact that he cuss, drink, smoke, sleep with other women, it's just going to magically go away. It's just like, that's not realistic.
No.
You know, talk about that. Like, people's expectations coming into marriage.
Well, to be honest with you, a lot of people come into it's like the Build-A-Bear factory. They're gonna have that man. They're gonna build him a certain way, and they expect that man to change
hold on,
because
y'all.
you say I do.
He said, "Build a bear." So women are trying to build a man.
Yes.
Oh Lord,
Like you
go
go
ahead.
to Build-A-Bear, you pick out the certain parts so that you want into the bear. A lot of people try to do that with the man or their spouses. It don't work that way. You get what you get. And so when they go into marriage and they say I do, they think they're gonna change it. It don't happen. Then they're
Don't
frustrated and they're ready to get divorced. But you signed up for some of that stuff. So I mean that's part of the problem also. And not just women, men too. They think that the curve's gonna always be there. They think that she's gonna always cook. They think that everything's gonna look the same. When things change, they wander other places, and it's causing problems in their marriage.
But what do you think is the greatest need for a woman, and then what's the greatest need for a man?
I think the greatest need for a woman is protection, security,
Mm.
and the greatest need for
What
a
do you
man.
mean by that? Please elaborate.
Well, women need to feel safe. They need to feel like they're protected. They're going to be cared for, taken care of, that they're secure, and those things. Those are the greatest needs for a woman.
Okay.
And that could be emotionally, mentally, financially. That they're taken care of. That is the greatest need for a woman to open herself up.
Okay. And then what about a man?
Reassurance.
What do you mean?
Well, that man needs to be lifted up. The truth be told, we're like dogs in a lot of ways. We'll do something, you pet us a little while, and I mean appropriately. And we will follow that. But I'm even talking about emotionally. We like that reassurance. We like to know that if we're working, we're doing these things, that we're appreciated for that. That's how you motivate a man.
Yeah.
And that's how you keep him. That's one of the greatest needs.
Yeah.
That's why we always ask, hey, is the line cut straight in the yard, or is the car tires good enough, or is this going on? That we need reassurance.
You know, that reminds me of the if you, for those of you who are parents out there, your children, it's like they always, mommy looking at me, mama look at me, daddy look at me, you see that, you see that. And as soon as you say, I know we have 3 boys, as soon as I say, boy, oh my goodness, you, like our son Simeon, 13 years old, he cooked breakfast for us not too long ago. We all just praising him, and his chest was just like, yeah. I mean, the truth of the matter is inside of every man there's a little boy.
That's right.
You know, and that's something that I didn't get really, because I'm like, what's the big deal? You cut the grass. You're supposed to cut the grass. Why I gotta tell you, you cut the grass? But the thing is, like he said, they need the reassurance. And I was horrible at that. I was horrible at giving praise. And even though I thought it in my mind, like, he's a good man. Oh, yeah, he did that. He did that. But I never verbalized it. There are things that we can't just think. We have to verbalize it. If you see it, say it.
And you piggyback off that. You remember inside of this 6'5" man, there's a little boy that you married.
Right.
That still doesn't need reassurance. Inside of this beautiful, gorgeous woman, there's a little girl in there that still need to feel secure. We forget that in marriage sometimes. We think we're marrying that grown person, but honestly, there's a child inside of that adult body, and sometimes that child don't grow up. That's why you still have men that are still acting like children in marriage. They don't grow up. Or you still have women that still dress a certain way like a child because they never grow up. So just remember that inside of that grown body, there's still a little child inside of that. And that's what therapy comes in at.
Yeah.
It helps that person to deal with that stuff and find the inner child and heal the inner child, that because you are marrying that. And that's some of the baggage that we're not prepared for when we get into marriage.
Not prepared.
It's shocking. It's scary. It's traumatizing, to be honest with you. Because, I mean, like, you're being honest, I don't think I was prepared for some of yours until we actually started talking and working through that thing. And you probably weren't prepared for some of mine. So that's a part of it also.
Yeah, yeah. And you said that what women need is reassurance. And I think a lot of times men will stop at, well, I'm a good provider, but you're not really there emotionally for her. You know, are you making sure that she's a priority in your life? You know, does she feel like she has to fight against your schedule to try to get time from you? That's all part of reassurance and making sure that she's loved. And also,
so you're trying to call me out right now? Huh?
No, I'm not calling you out, but if the shoe fit,
wear it.
Okay. But also, I want to talk about love language. How does that play in a relationship?
That plays a big part in it. You need to know your spouse's love language. The way you give love may not be the way they receive love.
That's
and a
right.
lot of times those signals are missed. So if I'm that person that buy you expensive things, buy all these things, and you're not impressed, I'm left feeling empty because that's how I show love. You like, that doesn't impress me. But if you're the type of person that like long walks and holding hands and the physical touch, and that doesn't intrigue me, we're missing each other.
That's right.
A part of it coming to marriage is understand that so that you can serve the other individual.
Yeah.
And remember, it says serve the other individual.
Serve.
Because that you shouldn't be sitting here just waiting to receive. And I tell people one of the biggest misconceptions of marriage is 50-50. That's the biggest lie we've been ever told.
Biggest lie, y'all.
That is the biggest lie we've ever told. It is not
50-50 is a lie.
It is 100-100. Whether I like you on that day, whether you like me, it's still my obligation in a good, solid marriage to give you 100% of me. Even if I don't like you, even if we're not smiling, even if we're not speaking, it's still my job to give you all of me that day and be faithful to it. Because 50-50, I tell people this, 50-50 means that you got 50% for other stuff than someone else. You can't do that. You have to give that person 100, saying, I'm totally yours through the good and the bad. 50-50 means that if you don't give me your 50, we don't have a marriage. 100 says, I'm in this for the long run. And that's what we have to do. A lot of people have that mentality, and we're told that. That is the biggest misconception that we go into in marriage.
All right. So we've hit on quite a few topics, but at this moment, I think we should take a moment just to be a little bit more personal, a little bit more transparent about what. Get a little closer. A little bit more transparent about our issues in marriage. And for me, my issue in my marriage was I couldn't tap into my emotions. Like, I was just so, like he always said, like, God, it's like I'm married to a dude. Because it's just like, I'm just kind of like, I'd rather be rational than emotional.
Mm-hmm.
But God didn't call me to just be one way in every situation. It's because I felt like I couldn't put my guard down. I was so used to being tough and hard and strong black woman. And, by the way, I hate that terminology. I really do. Because when you think about any other race, you don't hear about strong white woman, strong Asian woman. Why are we always trying to take on strong? Listen, ladies, it's okay to be soft. It's okay to be gentle. It's okay to let your guard down and be emotional. That's something that I've learned and I'm still learning. I'm still learning on how to just completely release everything and completely let him in. And the reason why, as he said, we're all grown people but little kids at heart. The reason why is because of issues in childhood.
Yeah.
I felt let down by so many adults that I trusted that I was just like, I'll forget it. I'm not going to open up myself to anybody. And that really hurt my relationship. That really, really hurt my relationship. And this is a good man, y'all. This is a good man. And he didn't deserve it. But the thing is, when you come into a relationship with baggage, that's what happens. So I mean, you can share a little bit about some of the baggage or issues that you had.
I think my biggest issue that come to it was unforgiveness. I could hold a grudge. Oh my goodness, I could hold a grudge, and I was vengeful. No, I never did anything to step outside the realms of our marriage, but I could also hold things against you, and that was tough for me. But it's also, you're talking about things we did in childhood. Our boys, as a boy, you're taught not to show certain things.
Right.
You fall off your bike, you suck it up. You better not cry. You get hit by a football or you get tackled by someone, you're not supposed to show emotions. Then you're trying to put this together in a marriage, and I'm supposed to be vulnerable to you. Yes, I am more emotional than you are, but there's still parts of me that I held back because I'm not supposed to show you this. I'm a man.
Right.
I'm a strong man. And if you don't receive that, then that's what you're going to get. And you got a lot of that in the beginning of our marriage.
Right. And that's so true. And the thing is, that wasn't biblical. That wasn't the way that God wanted us to love each other. That we really wasn't representing God like that, because it was more like, well, you change. Well, no, you change. Well, I give you what you want until when you give me what I want. So it was always this game. And at the end of the day, nobody was winning. We're losing. It's like you sitting over there trying to be mad while your house is falling apart. Does it matter if he's right and you're wrong? At the end of the day, you're on the same team. So I just, want us to talk about how we were able to get back on track. Like, what are some of the tools or some of the things that we started doing or are currently doing to help us get back on track, to fall back in love with each other?
I think a part of it came with our natural intercepts of who we are. You're very stubborn, so you don't give up. And I'm very forgiving. I'm very persistent. I can get mad at you in 5 seconds, and we're giggling 5 seconds later.
Yeah.
So that was the ability too. I was able to let stuff go. Once we were able to match some of that stuff, I think we began to win.
Yeah.
You didn't give up on me. You showed that you were too stubborn to leave me, and I would just forgive you. Like, okay, I'm laughing again 5 seconds later. Let's go get something to eat. That part came to play into this. But I don't think we really, my personal opinion, I don't think we really came into that part of it until we really understood and we said what was on our heart.
Yeah.
Until you and I really took our mask off and told us our pain and how you hurt me and how I hurt you, and we told that, we weren't able to grow.
Yeah.
And I think that some years in our marriage, we weren't telling the truth to each other. Not that we were lying, but we didn't take the mask off and say, hey, this is really bothering me.
Right.
Because we put up a shield and we blocked it. But once we took our mask and stuff off, we were able to just share with people and just share with each other and say, look, this is how I feel. And not only that, a good tool that we use, once we were vulnerable with each other, we promised not to hurt each other that way.
Yeah.
Once you share your pain with me, I can't hurt you with that. I don't throw that back up against you.
Right.
When I share my pain with you, you don't bring that back up and hurt me with it. A lot of couples, and I counsel a lot of people with that, when they know each other's vulnerability, they hurt each other. It becomes a weapon.
It becomes a weapon.
That's dangerous. If you share the childhood trauma with me, or I share something with you where you never bring it up, even in the worst fights, you stay away from that.
Yeah.
Stay away from those things. We don't fight with those tools. We might fuss and fight with anything else, but we don't fight with stuff that's going to hurt each other. We don't bring that up because that makes the fight shorter. That makes them less less painful, and we're able to bounce back a lot quicker.
Yeah, so one of the tools, like he mentioned, is that you have to be able to take your mask off. You have to, at some point, be real with your spouse, but you have to be safe enough to take that mask off. So if your spouse is coming to you in a state where they want to be vulnerable with you, that's not the time to become defensive.
No.
I know it may hurt your feelings, but just take it in, take a moment, maybe take a day or two and just process it before you respond, because we are meant to be, like, we're supposed to have each other back. Like, we're in this battle together. I can't leave him behind and he can't leave me behind. We have to be watching each other's back. And like he said, we can't take that sword that we're supposed to be slaying the enemy with and killing each other with, you know, stabbing each other. If he tells me his dark secret, why would I even reveal that to anyone? Why would that's not me loving him. I'm acting more like an enemy.
Because of more of a wound that they brought into the marriage.
Right.
And another thing I think we've learned is two different things too. You were shut down for days.
Yeah.
I
could. I'm an ice queen. Ice queen. You know.
Yes.
I can walk around and act like you pretty much don't exist. Like, hey kids, what y'all want for breakfast? I mean, I can ignore you. Oh, I was the best of the best with that, because I'd rather tiptoe around an issue than confront it. And at the end of the day, the elephant is just getting bigger and bigger. So, yeah, that was me.
And I'm the master of vengefulness. I'm going to get you back. I'm going to say something that's going to hurt you. And
yeah,
so
but also you'll go off in a minute.
Go off in a minute. I lose it in a minute. And then I expect her to come back and love me, but I said things that will hurt her. So then I learned something that is so powerful. One of the greatest tools I learned as a man is to zip it up and be quiet.
Yeah.
I learned just to be quiet and let stuff go. And I actually had to process, is it worth saying? Or how much damage it's going to do? It's going to cause us 3 days of shutting down. So I learned to zip it up and be quiet. That's one of the greatest tools I've ever learned.
Yes, and we have to understand the power of words.
Yes.
Because something that we can say in 10 minutes or 10 seconds can take somebody 10 years
That's right.
to get over. So it's like, do you really want to contribute to hurting somebody for 10 years? Yes, you may apologize. Yes, you may try to buy them gifts and stuff. But in the back of their head, they're like, yeah, right. I know how you really feel about me. So we have to work on, number one, forgiving ourselves for some of the things that we've done to cause the demise of our relationship.
That's right.
We also have to forgive others. You can't expect grace to be extended to you, but you don't want to extend grace to other people. So we have to be willing to forgive others. And then we also have to feel safe enough to take our mask off. You have to be real. This is somebody that I'm going to die beside, or he's going to die beside me. I'm not going nowhere. So why not take my mask off so he can see the real me? Yeah. And also, God put us together for a reason, because I have something that he needs to help him heal from different things. And he has certain things that I need. So we should be taking advantage of the skills that God has given both of us to heal our wounds, not continue to hurt each other.
And that right there is the key, because a lot of people, that's where the work comes in marriage. That people
don't want to do work.
Everything should be a feel good, but they don't realize I'm here to help you heal. I'm a safe place for you to land so that you can heal from your wounds. Most marriages don't want that. If God put two people together like that, it is for a purpose. Your marriage is for a purpose. And so your purpose is to help that person heal from some wounds. And people don't want to accept that. Because if they hear you share those wounds in before your marriage, most people will leave. You ain't ready for it. So when you get into the marriage and those things come up, you're not ready for it. So that's a beautiful part about marriage, is also that my job is to make her a soft place to land. That she should feel beautiful and safe every day. That doesn't say whether I like her or not, or whether we're getting along. It is still my obligation to make sure she feels beautiful, she feels protected, and she feels safe every day.
So I hope that you've gained some strategies from this conversation. I hope it's added value to your life. We know that we can't solve anything within the few moments of this video, but I do want to let you all know that we're available. We're available. You can find me on my social media. I'm on Instagram as Wilma Parker 797. I'm on Twitter as Wilma Parker 79. And of course, you can find me on Facebook as Wilma Parker. You can find him on Facebook as Clay Parker. If you do have some questions, you can leave it in the chat. and leave a comment below, or you could just contact us on our social media platforms, and maybe we can be able to guide you. If we're not the right individuals, we'll be able to find somebody who will be able to help you and your
That's right.
spouse.
That's
But
right.
I do want to read this right here. I don't know you all can see that clearly, but Clay bought this for me for our 16-year anniversary, which was this month, September. And I just think it's beautiful. So I'm just going to read it to you right quick. It says, marriage prayer. This is one thing that I'm hoping, a strategy that you can use is start praying together. When you start praying together and praying for each other, it breaks down barriers, it breaks down walls, and the trap that the enemy had for you all, you can tackle it together. But I love this little sign. It says that marriage prayer, Lord, help us to remember when we first met and the strong love that grew between us. Help us love in practical ways so that nothing can divide us. May our heart be compassionate enough to ask for forgiveness, and our love be generous enough to freely give.
Mm-hmm.
To freely give.
That's right.
We need to ask for forgiveness. We need to learn to love in practical ways. And there's a lot of things that the Word of God talks about to help us in our marriages. I hope that you can tap into the Word of God, into the playbook. Read it together. That's another strategy. Read it together. Find a book that you all both enjoy that's an inspirational book and read it together and discuss. Start taking walks together. Turn the TV off.
Yes.
Reconnect with one another. One thing COVID has allowed us to do is to reconnect. It's forced many of us to reconnect, especially in the initial stages of COVID, where we are all pretty much locked into our houses. That's the time to reconnect. That's not the time to disconnect. Don't allow the enemy to have his way in your household.
Yes.
You have the power. You can change this if you want to. Like Clay said, you have to be willing to do the work. It's not going to be easy first. But I'm telling you, if you keep working on it. And one thing that I learned in prayer is that every time that I used to pray in our earlier part of our marriage, is like, God, fix him. Something's wrong with him. It's wrong how he's treating me. Get him, God. But the thing about God is he's a fair father.
Mm-hmm.
So he never answered my prayer until he said, but wait a minute, what about you? What about that issue I've been trying to get you to deal with for so many years that you've been avoiding? But you want me to deal with him? Mm-hmm. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Let's talk about you. And that's how God always got me. So you're going to your prayer closet saying, God, get him. And God's going to say, no, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. I'm going to deal with you first. And I'm so glad that God was able to deal with me first. Mm. That my heart was softening enough that at times that he would come and talk to me and I was able to receive it because God had already dealt with me on it. So allow God to deal with you with your issues. Now, I'm going to let Clay give us his final words and his final, takeaway for couples. And then we'll be closing out.
Final takeaway. I think the final takeaway is just be honest with yourself. Stop pretending. That is one of the things. That your marriage is struggling. Ask for help. There are people out there that's willing to tell you the truth and give you the right advice. I know this. Church, I say this all the time as a pastor. Church folk can be funny. But there are some people out there that genuinely care about marriage. I love dealing with marriage. Some of my colleagues don't like counseling couples. I love it, by the way. Yes. I love to see how you can take two different people, two different backgrounds, and put that together. But my takeaway is just reach out for help. Be honest with yourself. Sit down and talk and say, hey, we need help. We're not okay.
Yes.
And see, if you are just okay, there is something else that's going on. Because your marriage should be thriving. It should be going forward. The saddest tragedy that we have, I see people that are married 20, 30, 40, 50 years that never truly love each other.
Yeah.
That's sad. Or they've been married, they just waiting to die. That's sad. You never lived. So when you begin to do this, reach out for help. Just like she said, we're here to help. there are better things, there are greater things coming this way, but we'll share that with you. But there are some more coming, but we are here to help.
Yes. Yes, and I am so excited because God is about to blow our minds.
That's right.
Like He is about to blow our minds. I'm so excited because God is calling Clay to do some awesome things, to step outside of his box, step outside of his comfort zone. But he knows that God is going to be leading him the whole way. So please stay connected to Clay Parker. If you aren't already a friend to him on Facebook, become a friend. Search him out because he is a quality man and he is about to do some amazing things. But listen, family, I'm so glad that you tune in. And as a reminder, please subscribe. Subscribe. Hit the like button. Share. Leave a comment. Here's the thing about YouTube. If we don't receive the support from viewers, then we don't have access to certain things, and my channel could be canceled. And so if you like it, don't secretly like it, let it be known. And by the way, I've had a few older people ask me, well, does it cost to subscribe? No, ma'am. No, sir. It's no cost to you at all. All you have to do is hit the subscription button and the notification button so you won't miss a thing. So I hope that you will support this channel because we are trying to follow the path that God is leading us, and we want other kingdom citizens to join us on this journey. It's a journey for us, y'all. So stay tuned. Pray for us. We'll continue to pray for you all. For a couple that's struggling, that wants to throw in the towel, don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
That's not an option.
Don't give up.
That's not an option.
It may look like it's dead, but don't give up. There's somebody that's a pastor that said this one time. You cannot tell the difference between being buried or being in the womb because it's a dark space. It seems like there's nothing happening. It seems like we've come to a standstill.
Yes.
But God is trying to regrow something. If you allow him to. If you allow him to, he will regrow that relationship. He will regrow your love, and understand that you are in a covenant and not a contract.
That's right.
You cannot just, I'm out of here. Please, please give it a second chance.
Yes.
Reach out for help. We love you all. Until we see you all again, have a blessed day.